Welcome back. Former President Trump pledged to deliver a unifying speech when he took the stage at the Republican National Convention at the end of a week where Republicans showed they were certainly unified as a party. But instead, the former president's first speech since the assassination attempt was a record-breaking long convention speech that had many of the hallmarks of a good old-fashioned Trump rally. Mr. Trump did begin his remarks last night by recounting the moment he was shot and with a nod to unity.
I am running to be president for all of America, not half of America, because there is no victory in winning for half of America. I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here. Yeah. I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
Now, but despite those moments of reflection, which did bring some members of the audience to tears, and a moving moment of silence to honor the firefighter who was killed at the rally, last night's speech was in large part just a return to form for the former president, repeating the grievances, attacks, and election fraud lies that are characteristic of his campaign speeches.
We must not criminalize dissent or demonize political disagreement, which is what's been happening in our country. In that spirit, the Democrat Party should immediately stop weaponizing the justice system. Every week, they get another subpoena from the Democrats, crazy Nancy Pelosi. They've got to stop that because they're destroying our country. The election result, we're never going to let that happen again. They used COVID to cheat. Only going to use the term once. Biden, I'm not going to use the name anymore, just one time. The damage that he's done to this country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable.
Joining me on set is NBC News senior national politics reporter John Allen, who is fresh off the plane from Milwaukee, and NBC's Yamiche Alcindor. She is in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is one of our decider counties, where she watched last night's speech with voters. So, John, I have to imagine that the speech was pretty late at night. If you fell asleep at maybe 10:30, quarter to 11, you had a very different impression if you stayed up until midnight. I mean, what was your impression in the room?
Did he stop talking yet? I'm not entirely sure. Look, this is a Republican Party that is unified behind him, particularly convention week is a unifying thing. He talks about being unifying, and what he really seems to mean is to unify the Republican Party. And of course, his survival of an assassination attempt, I mean, can't help but to give him sympathy, not only within the Republican Party, but I think more broadly on a human level. It is hard to look at somebody who has the physical manifestation of having been shot within the last week and not, feel some compassion for that. So if you take the extra step that a lot of the people at the Republican convention truly adore this man, this was a big moment for him in making sure that his party's behind him going into the general election.
You know, I do think that a lot of Americans have stopped paying attention to the rambling part of the Donald Trump speech. He gives these rally speeches once every couple of months. If you're not a Trump supporter, even if you're on the margins and are not paying attention close to politics, you probably don't ever watch any of these speeches. This was an opportunity for a lot of Americans to see that style speech. I mean, how could it potentially go over if you're a voter that's in the middle?
So I think there's kind of a question of how long people stay tuned in. I mean, not only do they tune it out if they happen to be watching it like deep in, but I think for most people, they're probably watching the first 10, 15 minutes if they're watching.
Yeah.
And the first 10, 15 minutes of this speech was basically him recounting this harrowing experience of being shot at. So I think a lot of people probably tuned out. I think most independent voters aren't watching the Republican convention to get their feel for, like, what does the middle look like. For those that stuck around, they got the Trump rally version of Trump. There was nothing, sort of moderate or reaching out to the middle about the vast majority of that speech.
Okay, John, thanks for rushing back. We appreciate it. Let's turn to Yamiche now in Michigan, where she's been talking to voters. Obviously, Yamiche, this is a Midwest battleground state that the Trump campaign has set their sights on. His VP pick, J.D. Vance, from that region. What were people thinking about when they watched that speech last night?
Well, as you said, I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and this is a city that's in a swing county, in a swing state. It's the kind of place that the Meet the Press team here loves to look at and study, because it's really a place where you can sort of feel the pulse of voters here. And last night, that long speech, I watched it along some voters who were really looking at whether or not former President Trump changed his tone. Take a listen to what they told me. By a show of support, who detected a sort of change in tone from former President Trump?
Definitely.
Initially, yeah.
Like in the beginning, I thought he started out okay, but then as the speech went on, it just sounded like the old Trump.
I was hoping, though, for the good of the country, right, if he does win, that we would see that this message of unity would carry through more consistently through the speech, and it did not.
Yeah, I go back to Saturday where a 20-year-old kid tried to take his life and assassinate him. Like he kept saying, I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be here. He's here. And that's a testimony to what he did in the past and what he plans on doing in the future. I think he's going to unite people. I think he's going to bring people together and do the right thing that's best for the country.
So it was really fascinating to watch this RNC speech by former President Trump with these voters, because the Trump supporters, two of them that were sitting there with me, they were really praising this speech. They were into it. They were nodding. They were sort of really smiling. We also had a Nikki Haley voter, though, who remains undecided. He came into it thinking maybe if Trump says something that's interesting, says something that's unifying, maybe there's a chance that he could maybe get on board with him, but heard nothing that changed his mind. And then you had a Democratic voter. Now, she was open to voting for Republicans because she doesn't like she doesn't like President Biden. She says that he should step aside, but she's also reluctantly going to vote for him because she does not see herself ever being able to vote for former President Trump. But it's interesting. She said at one point that this speech sounded like a rambling fourth grader who was trying to meet a word count. So she was really sort of biting in her criticism, and at times she was even sighing and visibly sort of shaking her head, saying, "Look, he's lying." She said that she really didn't believe a lot of the speech when he was talking about the fraud in the 2020 election as well as tax cuts. So really, I think this was a speech that fed red meat to the base, but really didn't change any minds here, Ryan.
Okay, and my apologies to all the Buckeyes that were watching that I suggested that where you are in Michigan is where J.D. Vance is from. I meant region wide, not state. But Yamiche, great report. I appreciate it. And up next, you're looking at what folks warmly refer to as the blue screen of death. It greeted millions of people worldwide on their devices today, with airports, hospitals, and businesses all feeling the effects of a massive tech outage. We'll have the very latest on that story. You're watching Meet the Press now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.